No doubt you've seen news and footage of Brisbane's 22 floods by now, but once we move on to the next news story and everybody forgets about the thing, what does it actually mean for Brisbane? How do the floods impact Brisbane immediately, in the medium and long term? Things will take some time to get back to normal, but are there some things that will never be the same? In this video, I'll look at the immediate impacts, as there's a lot of things that are really useful to know about, especially things that you usually have to pay for that are temporarily free. But I'll also look at the anticipated timelines for repairs to certain infrastructure and services, as well as the really long-term impact on the city, particularly things like property prices, and how lessons learnt may change the face of the city into the future. In terms of immediate impact of the floods, the most obvious thing is the 40,000 to 70,000 properties that have sustained flood damage. If you've been a victim to this, you can claim a lump sum payment from the federal government of $1,000 per adult and $400 per child under 16. All the details are in the video description. Brisbane City Council have a few initiatives to help reduce the impact of the floods in the short term. As public transport services have been affected, they've made metered parking free until the end of March. But don't forget that while it's free, you still have to stick to the time limits, as some people have been fined for exceeding those times. Also, issuing of council rates has been postponed to late April, early May, around then. And homeowners who have been affected by the floods will receive a $250 rebate on their next rates bill. The council's also set up community immunisation clinics, so people involved in flood cleanup activities can receive free tetanus vaccinations. The final immediate impact is that with all this water pooling around, mosquito numbers are up, and there's already been a couple of fatal cases of mosquito-transmitted Japanese encephalitis. It's often carried by water birds and then transmitted to humans by the mosquitoes. So keep yourself safe by using repellent, and also wear light-coloured clothing when you're outdoors. Alright, so let's look at some medium-term impacts, as well as predicted timelines for how long things are actually going to take to get back to normal. On the 2nd of March, there were 38,807 insurance claims made in southeast Queensland for flood-related damage, and around 70,000 expected in total. Many homes are currently unlivable, which means many owner-occupiers and renters are temporarily homeless. All I can say is that the prospects of finding a rental in Brisbane in the short to medium term are not looking great, as demand outstrips supply by so much. Notable damage includes damage to CityCat infrastructure. After the 2011 floods, Brisbane City Council put in flood-resilient ferry terminals, with a gangway that detaches from the mainland and swings around in line with river flow to avoid getting taken out by debris. In this, their first real test, most of the ferry terminals performed as had been hoped, but the one at Regatta Point was seriously damaged by debris. 8 CityCat and all 4 KittyCat ferries are off the river and being assessed for damage, and the Binang Urang CityCat sank when it was hit by a houseboat. With all the repairs and inspections, as well as the need for a full survey of the river, it's not expected that Brisbane's ferry service will return for another 3 months or so. And I guess I won't be doing that video that I'd planned on Brisbane's bikeways, because the bikeways have suffered extensive damage and some sections have been completely washed away. People are actually suggesting it may be a number of years before the bikeways can actually be restored to the condition that they were in before the flood. So getting around Brisbane will be quite different post-flood, and repairs to roads, rail, bridges and other infrastructure is now expected to reach $2.5 billion. So what about the long-term impacts? Well, I guess the one piece of good news is that the State Treasurer of Queensland has promised not to increase taxes to recoup money used for rebuilding. So, hey, that's something. I'll be making a video on some ways to investigate the potential impact of floods on any Brisbane property. That video is coming out soon, so make sure you're subscribing and that you've got the notifications switched on so you don't miss that one. But what about property prices into the future, in the long term, especially the worst affected suburbs, Rocklea, Deagon, Brighton, Windsor and the Gap, as well as Brisbane overall? There are slightly differing opinions on this. After the 2011 floods, property values dropped by an average of 6.1% over 1 year, but had generally returned to the 2011 level by March 2014. Not all suburbs fared so well. Take Chelmer. After the floods in 2011, property prices plunged by almost 18% and it took over 8 years to recover. Rocklea prices dropped by 17.4%, but were back to pre-flood levels in less than 4 years. Where opinion differs is what factors will make the impact different this time around. Some say there was great momentum in the market leading up to the 2022 floods, so things may bounce back more quickly this time, especially considering the upcoming 2032 Brisbane Olympics. But others say one important difference is that in 2011, the last major flood was in 1974, almost 40 years prior, and the 2011 floods were seen as a 1 in 100 years event. So this time, now it's gonna rain on the lens. Are you kidding me? Maybe I need to change location. So I think I got up to the part where I was saying that people may be more hesitant to buy now because it's looking like these floods are going to become more frequent events. But overall, in the long term, there is general consensus that property values will continue to rise despite a possible drop over the next year or so. But interest in properties and property sales after the flood this year actually indicate that maybe the impact won't be all that strong at all. Actually, there's been a lot of interest in suburbs in Rocklea and other flood-affected suburbs where there's been multiple people inquiring, attending auctions. The place where I started this is actually going to auction tomorrow, and from all accounts there's going to be quite a lot of interested buyers. And some people say that Australia opening up is going to be attracting more international buyers as well. And real estate agents have said that this is already happening. So what about changes in the city of Brisbane to prevent such widespread damage should we get the kind of rains that we had this time again? It seems inevitable that freak weather events are becoming less freak and more common. So what can we expect authorities to be doing to mitigate the kind of damage we saw in 2011 and now in 2022? Well, it's not a straightforward thing and really deserves an entire video to even start to explore. So hit that subscribe button and I promise to get to that very big and quite contentious issue really soon. In the meantime, you can check out this video which covers Brisbane's often freakish weather, and I'll see you with more Brisbane content real soon.